Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CCI live stream. My name is Ben Stofer, and I'm the Dean of the CCI, and I'm going to introduce you to a few of the really important things that I'm thinking about at the moment before we hear from lots of other people in the CCI, and then you break out into your course sessions. So, firstly, it's a strange term, and I'm welcoming you online, and there's going to be a bit of that this year, but I'm really excited to share what the program we have for you this year, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy the sort of presentations of your team and the experience coming up. So I want to talk a little bit about the mission of the CCI. So the mission of the CCI is why we're here, what are we doing? So the phrase that I often use is pushing the boundaries of computer science and creative practice. And that's shot through all the courses that you'll see at the Institute and also informs our research mission. And we're really committed to both of those things, creative practice and computing in the broadest sense. I want to talk a little bit about the community we have here. So you will be joining one of approximately 180 students this year on our core talk programs. That's across our BSc and MSc in creative computing, our MSc in data science and AI for the creative industries, our Masters of Research in creative computing, our diploma options, which are taught together. So that's our graduate diploma, our UAL diploma, and our online mode for our UAL diploma, and also our MPhil and PhD student community. It's worth stating that because it's obviously when you enroll, you end up in your course sessions, but the CCI is a broader community across undergraduate, postgraduate, and research, and we really want you to feel that as you go through this year, and I'm pretty confident you will. The other thing to say about the learning community at the CCI is it's bigger than the CCI. So last year, we started developing some online courses with FutureLearn. We launched these in April, and we've had 45,000 enrollments on our online courses. And I wanted to say that is because of the sort of impact of our creative pedagogy inside UAL, but also outside UAL. These courses on this slide, we'll share the link in Slack, but they're free to do now. They include introductions to creative AI, accessible interfaces, introductions to UX design, and all sorts of things that are subjects that developed by our researchers and academics. Speaking of our researchers and academics, you will obviously get to know your course leaders and your tutors really well over the coming term and the coming year. But I wanted to give you a sense of who the people, the sort of main people you might encounter across the talk programs, because it gives you some sense of their specialism and what their interests are across the Institute. So I'm just going to run down a list of names, and you'll be introduced to all of these people over the course of this presentation. So the first person I'm going to introduce is Dr. Vali Lalotti, and she's the program director. She's new to the CCI, and she has responsibility, along with the course leaders, of sort of facilitating the academic programs. You'll probably see her in course committees, and you might reach out to her if you have questions around study options, etc. Joel Lewis is a lead tutor for the diploma in creative computing, and those on the diploma will obviously be in touch with Joel next week. Joel's a creative practitioner when he's not with us. He's with us 3 days a week. He's also the interactive creative director of Universal Everything. Dr. Louis McCullum joins us to lead the MSc in data science and AI for the creative industries, a really interesting researcher in that field, and built some of the CCI research platforms along with our other researchers, including the Mimic platform. Phoenix Perry is the course leader for MSc in creative computing, and I'm sure you've seen her work and been in touch with some of her research. Phoenix is a really interesting academic with an interest in play and diversity in computing, and also spent a good chunk of time in the creative industry, so has an amazing personal practice. Dr. Anna Trossi joins us as the course leader for the BSc in creative computing, and her research is super interesting, and I hope she talks a bit about that with you in the coming weeks. Then we have an amazing bunch of associate lecturers, which include Google Fellows, physical computing experts, HCI experts, and more. We also have research staff, which you'll see a bit less, but they still are involved in the talk programs. We have our professor and research leader, Mick Grierson, who's a specialist in creative machine learning and signal processing. And if you're on the MSc in creative computing, he'll be one of your tutors for some of your coding units. And we have Dr. Rebecca Friedbrink, who is a reader in creative computing. She's also a machine learning specialist, particularly around machine learning in support of creative practice. She's the creator of the Wakinator platform, and you'll be introduced to her across the data science MSc, the MSc in creative computing, and also a bit on the MRes as well. So I guess I've got a few things as Dean I want to talk about, because it's important to recognize that one of the reasons that I'm doing this online is that we're studying in an extraordinary time. And I can imagine that you probably have lots of questions around that. Just to note that you can ask questions on the page that you're viewing this on. We will sort through those, and there'll be a Q&A session later in this session where we will pick those out and I will try and answer them. So the first thing to say is that COVID-19 20, as I've put on here, has been something that's been obviously hugely impactful for our students and for the university in general. So our returning students on the BSc obviously did a term online with us last academic year, and have seen the sort of disruption that COVID-19 has brought to the institution. I think that we are in a really good place to deliver you a really interesting and valuable learning experience this year. But I wouldn't underestimate the challenges that you have faced over the last 6 months if you're joining us as an undergrad in terms of finishing off school and college, and if you're joining us as a postgrad with worldwide travel restrictions and difficulty with visas. We are fully aware of the struggles that you've had, and we are an environment that really is going to try and look after you, and is going to be an open environment where you can get in contact with us whenever you need, and we will make this year work. It's going to be interesting. It's going to present some interesting challenges, but we're confident that we can be here for you no matter what the year throws at us. One of the things I wanted to highlight in this area is our COVID community pledge. And you might have seen this on the UAL website. If you haven't, just hit up the coronavirus page, you'll find it there. And this community pledge is about recognizing that we all have a role to play in keeping each other safe and operating a safe university. And it's a commitment that we are going to make to each other to do social distancing, do hand washing, use reporting structures if we're ill, but also it's a promise on the university's part to make sure that we're flexible, we look after you, and we're able to guide you through your learning this year. So please do have a look at the COVID community pledge on the UAL website. This brings me on to CCI's community cares. The CCI is a really dedicated, focused group of people who have come together around a subject, but we are conscious that we are only as good as the care that we have for each other. And I just wanted to say that this year, that's going to be more important than ever. That means taking care of your peers, it means talking to us, it means maintaining dialogue and taking care of yourself, making sure that you're reflecting on where you are in your studies, you're reaching out for help when you need it, and you're communicating with us regularly. And if we do that, I think we're going to have an amazing year. One thing I also wanted to talk about is the CCI social mission. So one of the things that I'm most proud about is the social mission that we have in the CCI. It has three broad headings. One is around diversity and technology, one is around digital inclusion, and one is around digital entrepreneurship. But what I want to say is that you will see in your curriculum that your tutors have made extra special effort to include people that are often written out of the history of computing achievements and creative practice, and that we are a champion for diverse voices across the tech and creative industries. And that's something you will find across all our programs, and different people are making different contributions in that space. And our research is making a really interesting contribution in that space. And I'm sure Mick will talk about that a bit later when he introduces the research mission. I'm going to talk a bit about online and blended learning. So as you know, you've had information about our blended learning model, which sees a good portion of online tuition mixed with safe in-person social learning. That is going to take a while for you to get used to, because the rhythm of it is going to be different to learning you've done in the past. We're confident that the mix of in-person social learning, self-bookable sessions, and then core online teaching is going to be really supportive of you as students and give us the flexibility to move in and out of those different modes as we need to, as this year throws up more interesting circumstances, as I'm sure you're aware. It will take a bit of effort to make sure you know where you are in your timetable, and where you should be, and whether it's an in-person day or whether it's an online day or whether you need to book a certain thing. That's really important that you spend some time getting to know your timetable. What I would say is the first 3 weeks are going to be interesting. It's going to take us, I think, 3 weeks through our sort of 3-week rotation to get a sense of how we're all coming together and where we should be in those timetables. So be patient with each other. If you don't have information, reach out. We will give you that information. The other thing I wanted to mention was extenuating circumstances. So the university is committed to supporting students online if they can't be with us this term. Most of you know that. If you are struggling with extenuating circumstances, you need to go to the website, and there is all the information about how you ask to study online this term. You have to go through that process because we need to know who is studying online this term so we can resource and support those students. Some of you have already done it, so I know that is working well. But please, if you are struggling through that extenuating circumstances, just email the right email address, or if you have any other questions, you can also email us, and we'll help you through it. What it means, I think, in the first 3 weeks is we're going to have a few people that are going through the extenuating circumstances and studying fully online with us, and it will take us a little while to make sure those groups settle down. So be patient with us, but we are there to support you. So the other thing I wanted to talk about briefly was that we also have a dynamic public program, which is stuff that happens around the CCI and is outside of your course, but you have access to. Some of the things we did in the public program are just on this slide. So from our diploma show party, which was an interactive 8-bit video game designed by our diploma students, to a computational thinking intensive in the summer, to trans-inclusive voice design, to our after-school club, which was the one here is about building musical instruments with machine learning, to Phoenix's incredibly interesting creative computing series. The one I picked out was looking at games beyond games. So there is a huge range of amazing activity within the CCI that happens around your course, and is a place where you can feel the broader community of the CCI. So please look out for that and engage with that. We moved a lot of that online during lockdown, and so it will be a mix of online, etc., as we go forward. So this is my last slide before I hand over to the rest of the presenters. I wanted to say that you are joining an amazing community of academics, technicians, practitioners, researchers, and administrators, and all of whom are committed to doing their very best for you over the next terms. And they are also a community that you will hold beyond your life at the Creative Computing Institute. I also want you to think about the peers that you make here, whether they're UAL peers if you're coming into our diploma, or whether they're people that are completely new to you if you're coming into the first year of any of our programs, undergraduate and postgraduate. These are people you will probably know in some form, and some of them, for the rest of your career. So make good relationships, and we will support that, and this community will last well beyond your time with us. And that's the thing that we think about often, is how does our contribution to your education and our contribution to the subject last beyond the time you're with us? That's the thing we're focused on, and I hope that you will engage with that this term. So I'm going to ask Tom, who's organising this live stream, to hand over to the next speaker in a second. But I wish you a really warm welcome and the best of luck this term, and I look forward to meeting you.
Hello, my name's Tom. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm the lead technician at the Creative Computing Institute. For many of you, this will be the first time you've come to university, and for others, it will be the first time you've visited Peckham Road. Even if you've been to the Peckham Road site at UAL, it's kind of different. Obviously, we've had to put in lots of COVID safety measures, and so we're going to have a quick walkthrough so you understand what to expect on your first day. The main thing to know is that it's really important that before you set out that you actually leave early enough. It's going to take longer than normal to get into the building. When you come on site, you will potentially have to queue outside. If that's the case, please stay at least 2 meters apart and make sure you're wearing a face covering. You should also have your ID card ready, and if you'd like, you can scan the NHS QR code for the NHS Track and Trace app on the right-hand side. As you enter the building, there's a one-way system, so you need to keep to the right of the building, and you will swipe your card when you get there. It's also a really good idea to wash your hands at this point. As you come in, you'll go to the right and through this door to the end of the corridor and take yourself up the stairs. there's multiple signs to indicate on the floor 2-meter distancing, so if people are taking their time or if you need to queue, this will indicate the 2 meter spacing you need to keep. If you're taking the lift, please remember that the lift has a sign on it that says either 1 or 2 person capacity. That's to make sure that you can keep at least 2 meters apart and keep yourself safe. In this case, the lift on the left is a 1-person lift and the lift on the right is a 2-person lift. When you get in the lift, you need to go to the 5th floor for CCI. If you're coming out the lift as we are, you'll need to turn right. You'll find that there's 2 hand sanitizing stations. It's a good opportunity before you enter the space to wash your hands. As you go through the door, you'll see a large UAL Creative Computing Institute logo on the wall. The CCI is divided into 4 main areas. There's a computer room, the sort of kitchen area, and 2 side classrooms. Each of the rooms has lettered stations, and depending on whether you're here for a booked table or whether you're here for a taught session, you'll need to either go to the correct room or find the space that works for you. You can see that the stations throughout the CCI are 2 meters apart, and there's lots of windows that we will open to ensure ventilation. And as it gets colder in the colder months, it's important that you bring coats and jumpers to keep warm. At the end of your session, you should make your way out. You'll notice as we go through the corridor that there's a round table. This is where the dead drop will be for technical loans. It's also where the exit is. This stairwell, the south stairwell, the one without the elevator, is the main exit route. Over the past few months, we've been working really hard on various building works to improve the space and planning for how we will safely come back to work and learn in the CCI spaces. Our first priority in the technical team is always about safety, and with the pandemic, that's more important than ever, which is why we're making changes to how we work to keep you and the technical team safe. From the start of term, technical resources will be available Monday to Saturday, 10 AM to 8:30 PM in 3 bookable slots across both the 4th and 5th floor spaces of the B block at UAL's Peckham Road campus, where CCI is located. These spaces are where you will work during your self-directed learning slots in your timetables. However, there are a number of additional slots throughout the week that go beyond the minimum expectation UAL has set out of 2 slots per week. Students will book into these slots using UAL's online resource booking system, ORB, which is an online site where you can view the availability of different types of workspaces like high-power computers, soldering and electronics benches, and just open spaces where you can work on your own laptop. To keep the technical team as safe as possible, as we often see over 100 people face-to-face every week, we're going to be on site but working from the staff office, which is where I am right now. We'll be taking technical tutorials through video calls, but with the added benefit of being able to drop items on the dead drop table outside the office to safely pass items backwards and forwards. Because CCI is operating a 2-meter social distancing policy, the capacity of our space is greatly reduced. For this reason, we're excited to be able to grant 24/7 access to the high-power computing at CCI using VMware Horizon, which will enable students access to one of 16 dedicated remote access machines for machine learning, 3D animation, and access to specialist software licenses from home. We've also invested in a number of new pieces of equipment, such as an AxiDraw, pen plotter, and 2 more 3D printers. Students will, for now, need to send files to the technical team that they want 3D printing, as most 3D prints take longer than the 3-hour slots students will be able to book. Instead, the technical team will queue up your job and provide it to you when you next book in at CCI. We've also invested a lot in improving the spaces at CCI, not just for COVID-19, but also for the future after the pandemic is better under control. We've improved the teaching spaces by installing a glass wall to the computer room to help better manage the sound in that space. In the computer room, we've also reorganized the existing furniture to all face forward to make the space better for learning, and we're in the process of installing a large projection screen for better visibility and high-end speakers in all classrooms. This is just a glimpse of some of the work we've been doing to create a fantastic space for you to work and learn in, and we hope that it shows that we're listening to and adapting to student feedback. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vali Laliotti, the Program Director of the Creative Computing Institute. I'm delighted to welcome our new students from across our BSc, MSc, MAs, research and diploma students. A warm welcome to our returning students today too. I'm excited to be joining CCI. It's a unique program. I believe in this tension between design and art and computing. That's a creative force for technology for the better of our society. And I want you to be excited too about joining CCI, because that's what you would become. You would be able to drive technology and creative technology in ways that will shape our world. This is what the course will give you, and your course leaders, who you would meet very soon, will go into the detail of the curriculum, of the kind of learning approach and the exciting courses that lie ahead for you. What I'd like to touch upon today with you is something I'm very passionate about, is this interdisciplinary learning that cuts across all our programs. I'm a designer, a computer scientist, and an innovator. I have a PhD in computer science. I have a Master by Research in Design from the Royal College of Art and an MBA. I believe in interdisciplinary approach in learning, and I won awards in innovation, in virtual reality and augmented reality. And I worked across the globe with industries, different industries, from the Silicon Valley to China, Japan, Africa, and Europe. And it is very key to be able to work not only with different cultures and different people, but also to be able to work across different disciplines, especially to be able to be a creative technologist and bring change to this world. So when you graduate with a CCI degree, you will have mastered the computing tools, you would have turned them into a creative technology practice, and you would be able to work across different disciplines. There is one more ingredient though, which is very important, and it's very important in your careers and in seeking, in working in the industry or with your own practice, and that's team and team learning. I'm very fortunate to work for and joining an amazing team, both the academic side, but also the team that supports our research and the experiential learning are amazing. You are fortunate, I am fortunate. So what is crucial about team learning, particularly in a time of a pandemic where we are trying this blended education, is that you also make an effort to connect with each other. And we will make a special arrangement so that we drive this as a conscious effort to create an online and offline community of practice and of creative technology. I'd like to wish you all the best with your studies. I'm looking forward to meet all of you, or most of you, and all the best for this year. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Professor Mick Grierson and I'm here to talk about the research that we do. I'm the research leader and I work with our other researchers to define our strategy and our approach. And one of the most important things that we do here is we try to create new ways to make new forms of art, both making new art ourselves and also making new tools and technologies available to artists for them to make their own art in new ways. So for example, we have pieces at the moment created by artists and musicians, people like Arca and people like Massive Attack, currently on show across museums all over the world, including the Museum of Modern Art in New York and a range of different museums across Europe with Massive Attack as part of the Barbican's AI More Than Human exhibition. And that's part of a project we have which is a collaboration between CCI, Goldsmiths, Durham, Sussex, and Google Magenta, who are part of Google AI, called Mimic. And the Mimic project is about creating a new platform for democratizing artificial intelligence in the context of music and other forms of art, including visual art. We're also working with our own PhD students who themselves are recognized as practitioners in new forms of art, particularly a form of art called creative AI, which is, I suppose, an approach to creativity and artificial intelligence, which has been very popular over the last few years. Artists like Memo Acton and Terry Broad are actually PhD students of ours. But we also have a range of other projects which are also interesting and look at a different kind of scale of inclusion and democratization. For example, there's a project called The Hub, which is exploring improvements to the lives of learning disabled people by helping them to use machine learning technologies so that they can do their own forms of data science, to make their own arguments using information. Also, we have projects which are focused on augmented reality and virtual reality contexts, including the 4i project, which is another collaboration led by Rebecca Fiebrink, who you'll hear from shortly, and also Phoenix Perry, who some of you may have already met. And there's a great project as part of that called Interact ML, which is a Unity node-based plugin for making it easier to integrate machine learning in creative projects. And Phoenix has an Epic Mega Grant from Epic Games to integrate that tool into the Unreal Engine. We also have Dr. Vali Laliotti, who is the program leader here, has a new project in collaboration with Royal College of Music and Imperial College called Hearts Professional to explore how musicians can play together using augmented and virtual reality. And Dr. Anna Troisi, who runs the BSc here, who I'm sure you've met, has a £50,000 project creating an aural archive in coastal areas of Kenya. But how can you get involved? Well, a number of master's students, 4 or 5, have taken some of the tools that we've created, including tools that our PhD students have made, and they've recreated them or improved them, like genuinely changed how they work and transformed them into new things, or come up with their own ideas, which are even better than the stuff that we've done before. So through doing your masters, you get an opportunity not just to learn from us, but also to discover new things, create new knowledge. So that's a basic overview. There's a lot more I could say, but I want to pass over to Rebecca Fiebrink, and she can tell you a bit about herself and her trajectory and also some of the projects and the ideas that she has.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rebecca Fiebrink. I'm a reader at CCI, and I design new ways for humans to interact with computers in creative practice. A lot of my research over the past decade has explored how machine learning and artificial intelligence can be used by artists, musicians, and other creators to support their existing creative practices, to push the boundaries of what people are able to create, and to make creative practice more accessible to more people. I'm a computer scientist with expertise in human-computer interaction, machine learning, signal processing, and software design. I'm also a musician. A lot of my work involves collaborating with people to explore how to make technology that is useful and usable to them. I've worked closely with professional musicians and artists, with kids, with professionals in the creative industries, and with academics and students in fields ranging from musicology to art to neuroscience. Some of my recent projects include making usable machine learning software for musicians and game designers, studying how to teach creative computing students about machine learning, making new technologies for people who are blind and visually impaired to navigate the social world around them, and making software for music therapists and teachers to use machine learning to build new musical instruments for kids with disabilities. I joined CCI because I was excited about the opportunity to help form a community of students and academics who believe technological innovation and creative practice are both essential components in creative computing research and learning. In most universities, these are treated as distinct subjects. When I was an undergraduate, I had to get special permission to take all the courses in both music and computer science that I knew were important for what I wanted to do. And I literally had to run half a mile back and forth between opposite ends of campus all day just to make it to classes in different departments on time. At CCI, I don't think we have all the answers yet about how to do creative computing and other interdisciplinary work the right way, but I do feel really fortunate to be part of a community where we are defining what creative computing teaching and research looks like, and how these intersect not only with domains like art, computer science, and engineering, but also with concerns for ethics, accessibility, and benefit to society.
Hi everyone, my name is Georgina Capdevila Cano, and I am the creative learning producer at CCI. My role mainly focuses on doing communications and marketing and leading the public program, which I am going to talk to you about in a second. But first of all, I wanted to say welcome everyone to CCI. It's super exciting to have you on board. And although all the challenges we're facing, it's going to be a great year. I know it, I can feel it, and I hope you're as excited as we are. At CCI, we aim to integrate computational thinking with approaches to fairness and equality for the UAL and wider community. This is formally codified through our social mission, which focuses on diversity and technology, digital inclusion, and entrepreneurship. The aim of the public program is to offer a platform where UAL students, staff, and practitioners can explore creative technology through workshops, public events, intensive courses, and fellowships awarded to practitioners in the field. To give you a sense of what you'll have the chance to take part in during your studies at CCI, these are some of the workshops, courses, and learning programs that we've been running. CCI's inaugural fellowship in 2018 was awarded to Feminist Internet. We run a series of workshops exploring the idea of a feminist Alexa, which we imagine problematically gendered voice technologies that flirt when you abuse them. Our second fellowship was awarded to creativeapplications.net. Students from across UAL had the chance to explore creative coding with custom LED displays and innovative ways to apply new technologies. We also ran a public event where practitioners discussed unique approaches to algorithm art, soft robotics, parametric architecture, and interactive space. CCI awarded its third fellowship to artist and researcher Anna Riedler. Together we run a learning program called Artificial AI, where we explore some of the problematics embedded in datasets which can be collected and deployed in ways that amplify racism, sexism, and other forms of discrimination. In parallel, we've run several week-long courses that were open to all UAL students through an application process, and some of these courses were the following: inclusive design in wearable technology, designing a feminist chatbot, computational thinking with P5.js, machine learning for the creative industries, design with data and interactive machine learning, and the latest one we run, Querying Voice AI Transcendent Design. Together with creative technologist and CCI's digital outreach coordinator Jasmine Morris, we started a project that we're super proud of for its contribution to the local area where CCI is based, Beckham and Camberwell. This is the CCI After School Club, a safe space aimed at young people, families, and beginners who want to learn creative computing in a supporting environment. We work with UAL graduates and CCI current students and staff members to create a program of online workshops and talks on topics such as 3D design, creative coding, music, amongst many others. For this next academic year, we are cooking up a lot of exciting activities for you all. One of them is a YouTube video series called Bits and Bytes, which is going to be hosted by Phoenix Perry, who's the MSc Creative Computing course leader. And this is going to be a space where we're going to invite artists and practitioners doing amazing work in the field of creative and computational technologies. Another one is a games jam with Code Liberation, and we're also planning an online public symposium on querying voice AI and transcendent design, and many other proposals that are on the way and that we cannot wait to share. There will always be an open channel for everyone to engage with it, and we want everyone to feel the freedom to share and propose ideas anytime. So I encourage you to be as active as you wish when it comes to suggesting speakers or artists you would like to hear or learn from. And I also highly encourage you to take part in as many activities as you can, because it's going to be a great way to grow your network, get to know a lot of amazing things, and also just have fun while doing it, which is something that we take very seriously at CCI. Also, it's going to be a great way to be part of this emerging and growing community of creative technologies within UAL, London, and beyond. Thanks everyone for your time. That's all from me for now. And yeah, I hope you enjoy your time at CCI.
Hello, welcome to all. You've made it. Congratulations. You're in. You're part of the CCI crew. Many will be jealous. Congratulations. My name's Ben Kelly. I'm the program administrator here. I look after all the really important things such as your assessments, coordinating to make sure that your records are updated, helping you through enrolment, and it's a bit of a unique role because I am a UAL alumni. I've studied sound art at LCC. I'm also an alumni at Goldsmiths. I'm a postgraduate. So I have a kind of interesting perspective from both sides of the fence, so to speak, which means that I also have a big hand in helping students through the whole process as a whole. So if you're experiencing any issues with your studies or even not to do with your studies, you're always welcome to contact me. I feel like, I should be your number one ally through getting used to everything, especially for the new students, the year zero students, the year one students, and the diploma, because of the program of study is slightly different from what it is on the normal arts undergraduate program. So feel free to reach out to me. Also, so in this role, I'm part-time. I'll be available to speak to 3 days a week. I also work with Eva Wilkinson, who's joining me at the moment and helping out with many different things. So that's fantastic. And then in my other time, I'm a musician, an artist, radio broadcaster. I've spent 5 years with NTS Radio, and now I have a new residency on Nettle Radio, which is submissions based. So any of you budding musicians out there want to submit any music to me, I'll be happy to provide a platform for you. And get into the really exciting stuff, which is obviously the start of your studies. Enrollment, we're currently at 95% enrolled or pre-registered out of 188 students. We anticipate to be around the 190 to 192 total, which is fantastic. When you're enrolled or pre-registered, you will have access to Moodle and you will be able to join the online lectures, which is really important because we know there's lots of delays with regards to EC claim for people who can't join in time, or for whatever reason, issues with all of the UAL support departments are under huge pressure. So you'll find that queries will take a few days to get resolved. So with Ben, we've agreed that we're going to, try and use our discretion to try and help as many people join and access the content, even if you have some ongoing issues. So I will speak to individuals about that as we go along. But those of you who are a bit worried because you're still not enrolled, especially our international students who are joining us, there's a huge amount of complication with that at the moment. We're here to help you through that, so don't panic. I've emailed every one of you who has something outstanding, so please keep an eye on your UA emails or reach out to me on Slack, and we will get you all through and we'll get you all ready for term. ID cards, to mention about that, they've been printed off and they will be in the CCI space. There will be an image on Slack, which will be used as a kind of pass, which you can show at the front desk to allow you access to pick up your card. And we'll share a bit more information on that in Slack as well. Make sure you're checking your CellCat timetables. Any issues, feel free to reach out to us and we'll look into that. But there's also some manual PDF timetables in Slack in the meantime. Again, I mentioned teachings mainly via Moodle, and it's all there. We've actually just in the process of pinning all the Moodle pages in Slack because of it, the view of Moodle sometimes can be a little bit clumsy, so you can have direct access. Any students who feel they don't have access to Moodle pages, please contact Eva Wilkinson. Again, we'll reiterate this. She's going to introduce herself on Slack soon. And we'll look into that for you. Again, as Ben mentioned, the EC claim is a pretty tricky thing at the moment because they're extremely inundated. There's a very simple way to do that, and the details are pinned in the announcement channel if you want to follow my instructions, which is a quick form and to email to this EC team. If you have any concerns, you can still get in touch with me, but we don't process them for fairness. They're done in an autonomous department. Just finally, really to touch upon the COVID period, having just come out of the last year helping the students through. It is a challenge with exams in this environment, but we've put in so many helpful things in place to support you. They've announced that all year zero, year one BSc units are pass fail now. We'll give you an indicative grade so you know how you've done and how to improve, but ultimately the pressure of that grading system has been relieved. Resubmissions won't be capped in a D- grade in the summer term as well. So I don't want to bore you with too much details with that, because if you have any questions, there's lots of things in place to help you through the assessment period. If this first summer term gets difficult, we've built a lot of really good strategies to help. So we'll be there to help you through it. And then really to kind of finish on a bit more of a positive note, I've been through the undergraduate, the postgraduate. I'm soon to start my PhD. And my biggest advice is don't set your limitation of your work to the academic framework. Kind of shoot above that. It should just be the catalyst for you to start work. You can, because some of the students' work here have been incredible and they've transcended well beyond their briefs and their assessments. So collaborate, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all your work.
Hi everyone, my name's Caris Kennedy. I'm the Senior Disability Advisor and the Designated Disability Advisor for Creative Computing Institute. My email address is c.kennedy@arts.ac.uk, and that's the best way of getting hold of me. So my job is to support students who are disabled students or think they may be disabled students. And that's got quite a broad definition, broader than most people think. So I work with students who have got dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, or other specific learning differences. I work with students who've got long-term health conditions or long-term mental health conditions. For example, depression or anxiety, Crohn's disease, asthma, something that's long-term that may affect you on a day-to-day basis. I work with autistic students, and I work with students who have any kind of physical or sensory impairment. So if you have a condition that's long-term and it feels like it maybe gets in the way for you, please get in contact. I might be able to offer support. The kinds of support that I might talk through with you are anything we might need to let your course know about, arrangements you might need, so flexibility with deadlines, extra time in exams, flexibility with attendance, just letting your course know what they can do best to support you in a way that's confidential and protects your personal information as much as we can. Another thing that I would talk with you about is establish if you're eligible for any funding related to being a disabled student. There's something called Disabled Students Allowance that some students are eligible for. We talk about whether there's any one-to-one support that might be helpful, any software you can access that could be helpful, and all of that support is confidential. So if any of this feels like it could be relevant, please get in contact with me. I'm going to remind you of my contact details. Here they are. My team also arrange dyslexia screening and assessments. So if you thought in the past that you might be dyslexic or have another specific learning difference, we can offer screenings. So to arrange a dyslexia screening, please call 020 7514 6156. Please leave a message. That line doesn't have someone picking up the phone at the moment because of COVID, but the messages do get through and someone will call you back. So leave a clear message with your number and student ID and someone will call you back. I'm working from home at the moment, but I am available, so please email me if you'd like an appointment. We can arrange a phone call, we can arrange a Teams meeting, a video call, WhatsApp, FaceTime. We can figure out a way to meet so we can talk stuff through, so don't hesitate to get in contact. I hope you have an amazing time on your course. Really nice to meet you. Bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Benelia Salmon and I'm the Academic Support Librarian for CCI. My role is to support students in using the library and its resources during their time at UAL. Once the term has started, I'll be hosting some online induction sessions with all of you, and the purpose of these will be to introduce you to the library and the resources that we have. Later on in the term, once you're more settled in, I'm hoping to host some info skills sessions, and these will be more focused on your individual courses and assignments. I'm really looking forward to meeting you all this term, but in the meantime, good luck with your courses and welcome to UAL.
Hey there, my name's Katie and I'm the Arts Programme Manager at the Arts Students Union. So I'm going to be giving you a quick 5-minute whistle-stop tour of what the Arts Students Union is and what we can offer you during your time at UAL. So I think it's important to remember that the Students' Union isn't part of the university, it's a separate organisation, but we're run by students for students, so we're looking out for you and we're on your side. Essentially, we're accountable to you. We are run by the sabbatical officers. So the Art Students Union has 4 sabbatical officers: campaigns, activities, welfare and education officers. They are elected by the UAL student body, and they have been elected into post through their manifestos and what they want to change at university. But essentially we're led by them. All of our mission, all of our kind of programmes throughout the year are led by the sabbatical officers and what they want to achieve for UAL students. And by being a part of UAL as a student, you're automatically a member of the Students' Union. So have a look at the website, see how you can get involved, but it's all open to you as well. So what do we offer? We have lots of events throughout the year. These can be social events, so a great way to meet new people, new friends. We also try and do lots of networking opportunities, so maybe you're looking to work with different students from different courses or colleges, maybe work together on a project, looking for different skill sets, then we help facilitate that as well. We also have so many opportunities throughout the year, lots of really different ones. It can be anything from taking part in an exhibition, doing a commission, doing a written blog piece, lots of different things happening throughout the year for students to get involved with. We also have an advice and support department as well, especially for UAL students. We also have spaces available throughout the colleges that can be used for exhibitions, or to maybe launch a product or have an event. These are free to use, however, unfortunately they're closed at the moment just due to COVID, but we're hoping that they'll become more available to you throughout the year. We also have, I think it's over 20 sports clubs at the moment, so both competitive and non-competitive, so they're open to all UAL students as well. And we have many societies that you can get involved with. Or you can even start your own. So I think the ones we have at the moment are all based around liberation, faith, cultural, political, academic and social. So lots of different ways to meet new people, maybe explore a particular interest in outside of your studies as well. Great way to meet new people and kind of have different experiences at UAL. And also we have the arts programme, which is the programme that I run. So our main mission is to help students with professional development and making sure that they have the right tools and knowledge base during their studies, so that once they graduate, you have such a good base to use to go on to your creative professional career. Our programme can consist anything of doing exhibitions, usually outside of UAL, working with different partners, doing art fairs, doing workshops, doing talks, doing markets, lots of different things to get involved with. But everything that we do, we hope that you'll learn a new skill or knowledge that can help you in your future career. Things to keep an eye out for is Exhibit, which is our open call exhibition every year. There's no theme, it's open to all current students at all colleges. We also have Made in Arts London, which is a selling platform specifically for UAL students. Applications will be open soon, so keep an eye out for that. A lot of things to get involved in, but I would recommend that you visit the current calls page on the Arts SU website, because that's where we'll keep uploading throughout the year the different events that we'll have. And it's definitely a very different year this year with a very different programme, so lots of exciting new stuff happening for us. Very quick whistle-stop tour, like I said, but please do check out the website. It's www.arts-su.com. It's all there for you, but we look forward to seeing you, right? Have a good year. Bye now.
Hey everyone, thanks for staying with us. Georgina here again. So now we're going to start with the Q&A section. We have a few questions that came through already. So now's the time. If you have any other doubts or questions you want to share with us, now's the time to do it. So please feel free to chat that on the chat box. So with us, we have Tom, Ben Kelly, Ben Stouffer, Vali, and myself. And we're going to start just going through the questions and cover them as much as we can. So we have the first ones that we received were around the ID cards. So it would be great, maybe Ben Kelly, if you could cover this. Some questions are around how can we get our ID cards, who should we contact, also if all student ID cards are valid for this year as well. Ben Kelly, if you could maybe talk a little bit about that, that would be great.
Yeah, sure, no problem. The cards are printed. We can print off any person's card as long as you're pre-registered, and which is great because normally you have to be fully enrolled, and I know there's delays across the UAL or support departments. So if you have individual requests, it will hold that up. So we have the ability to give you a card. What will happen is when you just follow your CELCAT timetable, and when it comes to your in-person class, you can go to the CCI space, and when you get to the front desk, you'll be able to show an image via Slack, which will be your kind of like an admissions token. The front desk will recognize that, and this image changes once a week. I'll post something on Slack as well, just to reiterate this. So then you'll be able to go up to the CCI space, and the cards will be there waiting for you. It'd be great if everybody can stick to the CELCAT timetable for your in-person class, because that way we can stagger the sharing of ID cards. We don't want to create a situation where there's big groups of people, so we'd appreciate that if you could do so. And your cards should be valid for the duration of your study. I hope that answers all the questions.
Thank you, Ben. That's great. We have another one, which is about self-directed learning and study. It would be great, maybe, Vali, if you could cover that and talk a little bit about self-directed study, how that works, and also what resources and how the time slots work for them.
Yes, thank you. Welcome and congratulations to all of you to make it here. Delighted to have you. And so what we have arranged for the self-directed learning and across all programs is to be able to do both online and in person. So it's really a way of accessing our resources so that you can learn in your own speed and in your own self-directed way. So the slots are there so that we make sure for those that are in person that we keep a safe distance and we can provide that the resources, you have access to resources without, but in a safe, COVID safe way. So we'd like to make sure that you have access to the library, for example, you have access to studio space, lab space, and you can also access those facilities. In terms of online self-directed learning, it's possible, as you already have heard in the previous videos and presentations, you can access the library online, and that gives you a broad, a very rich resource to both go on to what is already prescribed in your books and in your individual courses, but also, of course, explore any other text that you would like to access for your self-directed learning. So I'm looking forward to see you on the courses.
Can I just also add around the self-directed learning that the self-directed learning is in your timetable because we need to give you specific access at specific times of the week to keep the number of students on across all the campus down. And so that's why physical access is booked into those slots. So that's really important to remember. It's also important to remember in terms of what you can access in those slots, there is lots of the resources are listed on the ORB, which stands for Online Resource Booking Site. So if that might be a soldering desk in the CCI, that might be a library visit, that might be access to a piece of high performance computing. So all of those things are available to book online, but in the sessions that are in your timetable. So if you want to attend campus to access resources, you need to do it in those online self-directed study sessions, because that's how the university is managing the amount of people in its building. So that's broadly the same across all academic programs.
Just to add to that, also, just to reiterate, it's probably been communicated, but students should only come on site if you're booked or scheduled in your timetable to come in. You can't just turn up into the building anymore, because we have to make sure we keep to those numbers Ben mentioned.
Thanks all. Okay, we have another question for Ben Stoffer, and it is about the extenuating circumstances. So someone is asking, what if they don't want to go fully online for the whole year, but they want to see how it goes the first couple weeks, given the situation in London, and then decide? Is that something you could talk about?
Yeah, sure. So if you want to study online for the whole term, you need to put in an EC claim. The university is being flexible about when you arrive. So there are within the first 6 weeks, you can study online without any issues at all and not putting an EC claim in. So if you need to study online for the first couple of weeks, you're at liberty to do that. I would just ask you to let your tutors know. And if you are going to study online before that, further than that period, then you do need to submit an EC claim. So if you need to study online this week, just let your tutor know in the Slack channel, let Ben Kelly know via email, and there is 6 weeks of flexibility around enrollments to facilitate that.
Amazing. Another question for you, Ben. Are there any opportunities to work with other institutions during the learning process? Are there any internships available?
Okay, so I mean, the short answer to both of those things are yes. They look a bit different depending on what qualifications you're doing. If on the undergraduate there is a year in industry option, for example, between second and third year, some of the MSc programs have opportunities to work with creative industries partners, but your tutors will talk about that in more detail. So the short answer is yes, but it depends on what and where and how, depending on what program and what level you're studying at.
Amazing. And following up on this, are there any opportunities for us to study with other LCC studios or maybe other colleges? And what is the relationship between the CCI and the wider UAL community?
Okay, so I can answer that. So it's interesting. So obviously the diploma students are all from other UAL colleges. So that is exactly why that qualification exists. I'm guessing that the BSc tutors, that's a question from a BSc student. The intensives is a really important place where you get to work with those other students on project work. In terms of the relationship, we have a very close relationship with LCC in particular because I used to work at LCC and was involved in teaching and writing the programs that were mentioned. You'll find visiting lectures from LCC staff, and there'll be sort of co-project opportunities as well, and particularly through the public program.
Amazing. Thank you, Ben. We have one for Vali, and it says, if we can't attend an in-person lecture, can we access a recorded version online?
It's a clear yes. So all our lectures will be recorded online. They actually made available through the Moodle platform. So you will have access to these, and you can consume them at your own time.
What's also important to say about that is that the in-person sessions might not have lecture content in the same way as the online sessions. So we've been very careful to make sure that all of the core content that's core to being able to pass the unit is available online, and any other. But if there are presentations and lectures, things in the in-person session, we will also make them available online.
Yeah, maybe to add to this, that the idea is that the in-person and online sessions that we have together, it's a space where we facilitate peer learning. So it's not a lecturing space, it's a space of learning together, both for online and for in-person sessions.
Cool, thank you. We have one for Tom now, and it's about the software that will be available for students. Are they going to be able to access them for free, or they have to buy them themselves?
Yeah, so it depends obviously on which course you're on, but the intention would always be, and I think the same would be true of generally equipment, that we want to make sure that the courses are as available as possible to everyone, regardless of their financial or personal backgrounds. So to that extent, yes, any software that you need would either be free and open source software or would be software that we would provide access. I mentioned in my talk this platform, VMware Horizon, where you can remotely access some of our machines. Obviously, you can also book to use machines here. And generally speaking, because it's a creative computing institute, obviously a lot of the stuff we're doing is teaching programming with tools that are open source tool chains. So actually, there's not a lot of closed source and proprietary paid for licenses. Things where you might find that would be like Max MSP, Ableton Live, and MadMapper, which we have licenses for. All of the Creative Suite is obviously available locally. It's worth noting that IT, if you're new to UAL, IT actually provides a discount where you can get the Adobe Creative Suite for a 12-month period for £40, which is significantly cheaper than even the normal student price. It's sort of subsidized price. And as part of your UAL login, you can access Microsoft Office 365 and get all the Word tools and what have you that you need to do your essays available to you on your machine. And there's also a bunch of accessibility tools, which I think Karis was sort of mentioning in her video, which you can, through the Disabled Students Allowance, you can request funding from the government to support you with that, depending on your circumstances, obviously. And there's the Student Hardship Fund after that. So I think there's quite a lot of series of options available, depending. I think it really depends on what we're talking about, you're trying to do. But generally, the answer is you shouldn't necessarily need to pay for things as long as they're part of the curriculum that we're teaching.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, next one is for Ben Kelly. Someone is asking, if we are in isolation before November 16 and cannot go to classes in person, do we need to apply for EC?
As Ben stated before, I think we can use we can be flexible up to 6 weeks, and then after that, the EC claims is till the end of the term. So on an ad hoc basis, if, for example, someone has to isolate and can't come in, not related to, because the EC claims are generally for international people. So on an ad hoc basis, if for whatever reason anyone can't get to an in-person class, feel free to get in touch and we can deal with it on an ad hoc basis. But we'll facilitate anyone who has to self-isolate as much as possible. We'll make sure we do our very best. You won't miss out on anything.
Thank you, Ben. Next one is for Tom again, and it is about diploma students. Will they have access to their previous college, and what sort of facilities they will have access to in general?
So this sort of goes on from what I said before, which is you can only access a UAL campus when you're scheduled to be in. So for diploma students, obviously all your classes are now with us. So generally the answer is no. However, there is one exception, which is the library, which is on Sundays, the library allowing students to book across all of the sites. And so yes, on Sundays, that would be possible. Otherwise, you can still access the resources here at CCI by booking self-directed learning slots through Orb. And there should be quite a good number of those. So if we're having issues, obviously we can sort of explore it and talk to the library about whether we can get any more availability down there when you're not booked in already. But I think it probably be fine.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, next one is for Vali. Anna is asking, will our timetable change each week, or is it the case just for the first 3 weeks of study?
Yeah, so that has been quite a logistical process. So what we're doing is that for 3 weeks, this 3-week schedule you have will rotate. So it will repeat itself for the next 3 weeks and the next 3 weeks. So you're not going to see any changes in your schedule. It's just the schedule you have will just happen again for the following weeks. I hope that was clear, but feel free to also ask if that's, the course leaders as well will repeat this information.
Just to add, to avoid any like mind-bending logic of trying to figure out which of those 3-week patterns you're on, if you go to mytimetable.arts.ac.uk, you can view your timetable all the way up until the Christmas period. And the only reason we haven't published it further ahead is because obviously we don't know what the COVID situation is going to be like by then. So making plans beyond then doesn't make sense. But in late November or early December, we should have the next ones available and be able to give you a sense. It's very likely that it will just be the same slots, because we want to make sure that you don't have to change your work arrangements. So it'll probably be the same slots, but just different units depending on what course you're on.
Amazing. Next one is about this year's postgraduate exhibition. So someone asked if it has been cancelled. The answer is no, it hasn't been cancelled. We're actually planning it online for a few evenings, first week of December. We're going to announce it very soon, so keep an eye on social media, on Slack, and we'll definitely share the details there for you to attend and get to know more about the work that they've been developing this year. Cool. We have another one for Ben Stouffer. It says, for those of us taking the 1 year out of CCI course, will we be able to access the usual facilities in CSM, which we previously had access to, or are we only restricted to Camberwell and CCI now?
So in this year, you are restricted to Camberwell because you are only allowed to enter UAL buildings when you're scheduled for access, and that's the same across all of the universities. So in a usual non-COVID year, you would have access to your home college as well, but because of COVID, you only have access to the CCI in this year.
Just to add to that, if by all means, if you can book it in Orb, then by all means, feel free to do so at your home college. It's just that hasn't been set up because of what Ben just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, Tom makes a good point there. If you find resources that are available to you through your student ID on Orb, then you are able to book them. But the top level answer is access is restricted on all the college sites to the qualifications you're on.
Yeah, and just to be really clear, we're talking about the UAL diploma in creative computing, not the graduate diploma or any of the other CCI courses where your access is just to the CCI Peckham Road site.
Cool. We have another question from Fabio about what is our relationship with Camberwell. So they're asking if we are under Camberwell or are we a different uni. Maybe it would be worth Ben Stouffer to talk a little bit about what is the CCI's relationship with the rest of UAL.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we are definitely part of UAL, but we're a separate academic unit from Camberwell, which doesn't mean a lot to students. It just means that these programs aren't managed through the Camberwell academic infrastructure. So because we're only a couple of years old and we work across the university, which is why we have diploma students from all over the university. In terms of students' experience, obviously we are part of Camberwell, we exist here, we have colleagues that we know well in the other programs. So from a student perspective, that shouldn't make any difference. You're part of the Camberwell UAL community, despite the fact that you are studying with the CCI. You are a Peckham Road Camberwell student with all the others. And so that is a broader peer group.
Thanks, Ben. We have another one for Ben Kelly, and Daria is asking if we have to isolate during the exam period, can we retake the exams we missed?
Let me think about this one. If you have to isolate, then it will be the EC claim process, which will then open up a whole plethora of options for you. So I think again, the best thing is it's a little complex. So we'll take this on a case by case basis. If anybody has any problems or they need to self-isolate or they become sick, get in touch with me and I'll make sure that we look after you. There are other little things in place at the moment because the UAL introduced a non-detriment policy last year, which is fantastic. They're doing elements of that again this year. And so a lot of this is protections, especially for the summer term, the first term, where people were allowed to have a resubmission without capping. A resubmission can be an exam, so we would resit exams if you missed exams. But the most important thing is that you do not let us know after the exam takes place. You must let us know in advance. If you can let me know. I don't recommend this, but I've even had students send me a DM on Instagram that they're having a problem. As long as you let me know before, I can get things in place to support you through whatever difficulties you're having, but you must let us know in advance.
That is a really important point, is the extenuating circumstances is a process for you to formally inform the university that you've got a problem of whatever kind, so we can then formally make adjustments to cope with the situation. So for example, if you are self-isolating and you can't sit an exam, if you put in an EC claim, then we are able to make accommodations around resitting exams or different hand-in dates, etc. So that's the process.
Amazing. We have another question for you, Ben Kelly. Adam is asking how to audit a course that's not part of my program.
I'm not too sure what that means. How to audit a course that's not part of my program.
So Ben, I can answer that. The formal auditing process is something that some universities do where people can sit in other classes.
It's the terminology.
Yeah, it's a terminology thing. So for that student who asked that question, just get in touch with your course leader about the fact that you are interested, and we will have a look at what you're interested in, look at the capacity, and we'll work with individuals to do that.
Amazing. We have another question probably for Ben Stouffer here, and is about access to the library. Can we visit the library, CCI library, and other colleges' library?
So all students across the university are restricted to the one library at their main college of study, apart from Sundays. That is the cross-university rule.
It's worth noting, I'm sure Benelia will talk a bit more about this if she didn't in the video, but the library is quite different from what you might have been used to. So, for example, because of the risk of COVID on hands, people have to reserve books and come and collect them at a specific time, and then they're quarantined for a period of time after before someone else can take them out. So even if you wanted a book from another library within university, they can do that and transfer it to Camberwell to pick it up. Or you could pick it up, I guess, on the Sunday, depending on your arrangements with the library. But yeah, you can still access all the resources. It's just that you can only go to the site where you're based at.
And actually, I realised that question said when as well, and you can access the library only in your self-directed study slots in the first instance.
Amazing. Just a quick note that we only have 2 minutes left before we break on the different course groups. So I'm going to go through a few other questions that we've received. So we have one for Tom. Agatha is asking, I can still see bookable workshops at LCC while I'm doing a diploma. Does it mean that I can access it, or is it a mistake?
Yeah, Agatha, I looked up to see which course you won whilst we were looking at stuff. You are on the UL diploma, so because you studied at LCC on the Design for Branded Spaces course, I think you should still have access to that. We have asked them to make that possible, because that is what, as Ben was saying, should happen in a normal year. But you may know they've also just recently switched to a different orb installation system. So yeah, it may not work, as why Ben's saying. Official answer is always that you only have access to resources at Peckham Road, which is predominantly the 3D workshop, the laser cutter, and the facilities that CCI provides, which is things like 3D printing, pen plotter, access to technical resources. There's like loads and loads of stuff you can loan just behind me and all throughout the office here. So the simple answer is it isn't a mistake. It's a kind of a freebie, if you like, that you get. And as Ben was saying, if you can access those things, you're more than welcome to book them. But if not, then obviously the system kind of manages its own permissions.
Thanks, Tom. We have another question from Jasmine. They're saying, if I have applied for the EC and I will be arriving on the 26th of October, could I take the offline courses after self-isolation? Maybe that's for Ben or Vali.
I can answer that. I think so. If you've applied for ECs, but then you want to start your in-person sessions as soon as you finish your isolation, there should be no problem with that, as long as you're registered on that course. Once your EC is in place, you don't have to use it, I think is the straightforward answer. So if you have an EC in place and you decide not to use it and you can attend, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Amazing. Tom, could you maybe cover the bookable part on the timetable? What does it mean specifically? Jan is asking.
Yeah, so I think we sort of talked about what self-directed learning is. Vali sort of discussed that with Ben. Bookable basically means you book it through Orb. So you can sort of think of it as a number of stations that are situated. I think you saw some video of that earlier on in the stream, that are lettered. You book the station with the resources that you want to use, and then you come in for that time and you work at that station. And those are in different configurations. So some of those bookable slots are available just for your course. Others are available to the whole of CCI. So there's different opportunities to just work with other people in your course, as well as meeting other people from other parts of the CCI.
Amazing. And this is the last question that we're going to be able to answer for now. And it's coming from Fabio. They're sharing, referring to Adam's question earlier, can Oh, sorry, I completely missed. Yeah, can we audit, for example, another language if it is taught in another course? So I don't know if someone will be able to answer this.
Yeah, I can. Again, it depends which level of at the postgraduate level, that's much easier. At the undergraduate level, there's less opportunity because you're in a different structure of program.
Amazing. So we have 3 other questions. Let's see if we can cover this before we go to the session. So Ben Kelly, could we clarify whether all student IDs are valid for this year?
No, if I'm assuming this is a diploma student or an existing CCI student. Yeah, if you've got your ID card, they should all work. They will all continue.
Amazing.
Yeah, if you have
And
any problems with your ID card, just message me or Ben Kelly and we can get them reprinted for you.
Okay, another one for Tom. Is it possible to book other resources outside the CCI at Camberwell, like a laser cutter or other facilities?
Yeah, so the way that technical resources at the university works generally changed about 18 months ago, so that it focuses around learning outcomes. And so what that means is that on your unit assignments and briefs, it will list the learning outcomes, and the academic member of staff will determine from that whether there is a need, for example, to access those resources, in which case we will then make that available to you through some means. Last year it was done by just booking in slots for people. This year we might try and put it on Orb or something like that. We haven't, we're not quite there yet. Outside of that, if you have a request for a specific project that doesn't fall within those learning outcomes, you can still request access, because obviously there's always projects that are going to fall outside of that. And that just needs to be to your course leader. So you need to ask your course leader, or you can speak to Valley in the case of the diploma, and let them know that you need access, and then they will tell me, and they'll be the kind of gatekeepers as to making sure that the people that need to get access can get access, and that it's related to their study. And then from there, they will let me know, and I'll contact you and put you in touch with the correct people.
Thanks, Tom. And the last question now for Ben Kelly. Fabio is asking, I was wondering how we can collect our badge if we have EC to attend online. Can I send someone, or will you be happy to ship it or deliver it?
I don't think we've got the CCI badges printed yet, but I think someone's working on it. But I think you might be talking about your ID card, perhaps. But now you've got me thinking about merch. Yeah, if you've got an EC claim, as long as you've pre-registered, you can give you your card. So that you can only get an EC claim if you pre-registered. If you're not in the UK, we can't give you your card yet. So you'll get that when you're first able to join in person. But any access issues, again, just get in touch with us. But again, as long as you've pre-registered, now I've sent out a couple of chases to around 10 students who still to pre-register. Unless you do that bit, then we can't really help you too much. So just make sure that you've all done that.
Cool.
And just to be really clear, if you don't need your access card unless you're in the building, because it only gives you access to the building. So if you want to study online, you don't need your card.
There might be one exception to that, which is if you need a copy or proof of your being a student in order to get free software from certain companies, just let me or Ben Kelly know, and either I can scan it or Ben Kelly can let you know how to request a letter of proof of studentship at the university.
Yep. So can I just add one quick point onto that? So we will have your cards. We can provide you a scan of your card. Alternatively, everybody can get a student status letter via the student portal or by contacting the Camberwell contact desk. But you should be able to print it off yourself via the student portal where you're enrolled. Any issues, come back to us, of course.
Amazing. I think we're going to just wrap this up for now. Thanks, everyone who submitted questions. We are always available on Slack, so any other questions that you have that could not be resolved, please just feel free to drop them on Slack. So what we're going to do now is head to the course links. So if you go to being in Slido, if you go to the menu that is at the top left corner, you're going to see a list of the different courses that we're going to run the sessions on. So just please feel free to click on your name course, and there you're going to meet your course leader and your course peers as well, and they're going to take the lead from there. So anything that is related to your course, your experience studying at CCI, you'll have a space there to talk about it and discuss it and meet your peers. So I think we're just gonna, just give thanks to everyone for staying until here and everyone who took part in the presentations. And unless someone else wants to add something, we'll just close this stream for now.
Thank you, Georgina. I just want to say, so what you need to do is click on the menu in the Slido window and you'll see your course there, and that will give you access to your course sessions. Good luck and lovely to sort of see you today.
Bye.